Today I'm going to talk about 5 most common mistakes that I see with independent consultants, interim controllers, interim CFOs, that sort of thing. So if you're an interim CFO and maybe you do a lot of work in private equity and you're just not seeing the kind of traction that you want to see, there's probably a good reason why, and it most likely falls in one of these 5 categories. So here's the 5 biggest mistakes that I see from independent consultants. Before I get into it, I'm Ken Canera. I'm the CEO of ECA Partners. We're a specialized project staffing and executive search firm. We primarily work with private equity and their respective portfolio companies. So here's the 5 things. So first is just going way too broad. See this all the time. Think of it like this. I know a lot of you guys out there started at McKinsey, Bain, BCG, those types of firms, and you were sold a little bit of this, you're a generalist athlete thing. You can do everything. And when you're young and inexperienced, that's true. That's what makes a really good analyst. That doesn't translate well as you progress. 2 reasons you don't want to go too broad. One is you become a master of nothing, and people are just going to pass you up because they have a specific problem to solve for their portfolio company, and they're going to pick a very specific resource to do it. Number 2 is you're not going to have any negotiating power when it comes to pricing. And so again, the more that you can pick a niche, ideally in a function, in an industry, the more success you're going to have both in landing projects as well as driving a premium price for yourself. That's the first mistake that I see. The second most common mistake that I see is what I'll call rate fixation. I know I just talked about being able to command a premium price, but a lot of people get this idea in their head that, oh, hey, this is my hourly rate, this is my daily rate. But if you think about it, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. You got to look at each project situation independently. So as an example, if you paid me $5 a day to sit and watch TV and hang out with my dog, I would take you up on it. That sounds like a really good deal. Conversely, if you offered me $5,000 to go work in Saudi as an interim CFO, I'd probably say thanks, but no thanks. So look at each project situation independently and then make the determination if it's worth it for you. The third thing that I see is, this one's kind of funny, but and seems counterintuitive, but is responding to online projects in these kind of online marketplaces, right? So a few of my competitors, they'll post projects online, and the expectation it's kind of like Uber for consulting. And you can see how many other independent consultants or interim C-suite execs have actually applied for the role. By doing that, it's almost the same as like applying to a job online. There's a very, very small chance that it works out, but a really, really small one. And by doing this, you're inadvertently doing like a free proposal essentially for the company. So highly recommend you don't do that. Conversely, and this goes into my next tip, which is another mistake that I see, which is not building a relationship with search firms or agencies. So I do highly recommend that you actually do that. What I mean by that is find someone at the search firm or the agency and actually build a relationship, right? We all have our own databases. We all have access to LinkedIn Recruiter. But if you don't reach out to someone and actually talk to them, build a relationship, understand the type of projects and deal flow that they get, there's a chance that you might not be top of mind. That's number 4, is not building relationships with essentially firms like ECA Partners. And then the last thing that I see, and again, this kind of goes against my own best interest here, but is not selling your own work. For any independent consultant or interim CFO or interim CEO, that those sorts of people that make a living doing this day in and day out, you have to have a good mix of your own projects that you self-source and that you generate on your own, and then projects that you generate through agencies. So it's good to have a mix of different project types and deal flow. If this was helpful, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.